Welcome to the Digital Chair by Salon Monster, the podcast for indie beauty pros and salon owners who'd rather be themselves than follow the rules. I'm your host, Liam, and this week we'll be talking with Alyssia Dotson about rebuilding textured hair education, consultations, and why consent matters. Okay, fantastic. Here we go. Thank you so much for joining me today. Would you like to introduce yourself quickly?
Yes. It's Alyssia Dotson at Mane Seamstress, and I'm the founder of Mane Seamstress Education, where we educate hair from the standpoint of fabric. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, that's super exciting. Fabric, big fan of fabric. My mother is a long time fabric hoarder and seamstress, so textures and colors and all of that. There's a large obsession in our family with all of that.
I love that. Yes, I'm a lover of fabric. I appreciate it. I'm not much of a seamstress, only when it comes to hair. So
you do not need to be. Well, yes, you are, just with hair. Yeah. And where are you located?
I am located, so I pay mortgage in Dallas, Texas, but I go all over. Yes. Yes, so I hail from Dallas, Texas. And it's, every summer I think I wonder, what am I doing here? Because it's so hot. But yeah, so I love being able to just jump on a plane and go anywhere.
Yes, it's glorious. And how long have you been doing hair?
I've been doing hair now for 22 years. I just counted it. I started when I was 8. So, It's been a great journey.
Right?
Yeah.
It's very strange counting up the time. Time is a strange thing.
I know. It's like, yes. But yes.
Yeah, I catch myself saying how long I've been doing hair, but with the previous number that I used to say and discovering that it can't be 20 years for 6 straight years. Obviously, at a certain point that changed, but it's 25 or more, plus minus.
I know. So, yeah. I need to start doing that over under. It's been over under 20 years. Maybe that's what I need to start doing. I like your math.
Let's round down. I'm a rounding down fan when it comes to that. Yes. Okay, and so you're flying all over the place all the time. What are you doing most of the time when you're flying about?
Usually I'm doing in-salon classes. Yep. I'm also doing events. I partner with a brand as well. So I head up their North America team. So I go and do a lot for that. Every now and then I get to sneak in a vacation or two while I'm doing it. So work play blends. But I just go around sharing my passion for this industry. And just trying to spread the hair love wherever I can go. So
yes, love it. When did you, in your hair journey, at what point did you realize you wanted to educate?
Oh, that's funny. So if you had have asked me at the beginning of my career if I wanted to educate, I would have, or that I would be doing what I'm doing now, I would tell you you're insane, because I did not enjoy speaking in front of groups of people. I got incredible stage fright, like palm sweaty. Mm-hmm. I would do the rush speaking and just black out. And I think I started thinking about educating about 12 years ago, because now I've been educating now about 12 years. And I noticed I started thinking about just what this hair industry has given me and what would I want to tell myself. That's kind of the approach that I came from. And I was it gave me so much. I found so much of myself in this industry. And so I said, what would I tell myself? And it kind of just snowballed from there. And I connected with a really amazing, she actually was in education, but she was just kind of the person that would book things. And we kind of talked, and I said, hey, I like this brand, and I like this product. It works great on me. And I think I may want to do this. And she's like, well, okay, we can talk a little. And from there, it just gained momentum, and I have found that I've evolved so much more just from educating. And, I think you learn as you educate. Like I've learned so much just by sharing. And, yeah, 12 years flies, but I love what it's done. It's given more nuance to who I am as a hairdresser.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
find it changes your approach to like as you teach people and you break things down, do you find you're discovering the process of things in a deeper way? Because I know when I came up, I didn't really know what anybody was talking about. And when I've started to, and don't get me wrong, I don't educate on a big level, but I helped with a couple of people and I found I've almost discovered what it is that I do because I'm describing it to people. I didn't know what my process was.
Yes, yes. I think the best analogy. I'm a visual person, so I
Yep.
like to, as we usually are.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like cooking. You cook a dish and you don't know how much or what step goes where when you're making the lasagna until you're talking through it, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's also it has, like you said, it's kind of created this space of now I've discovered more of the whys of what I do, whether it's why do I point cut at this point? Or how do I decide on that length for that hair shape or creating a textured look where the
Mm-hmm.
balance is? I mean, it has kind of deepened how I look at hair and it's not just from a one-dimensional space.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's education has changed so much since I came up. I found, and I mean, you're completely right. We're very visual typically in this industry. Every now and then you meet a person that can do a technical. I found I struggled with learning early on because most of the descriptions were descriptions of how something should feel or how it should look, and it didn't have enough of a this plus this equals this.
Right.
So it just took time for me to start to develop that feel for myself. Were you lucky enough early on to have an educator that spoke to you in the way that you learned, or did you find you had to work through some of that on your own?
Oh, okay.
That's a lot.
Um,
I know that's a long
it's a
question.
lot. So I'll bite it off. I'll answer in bites.
Yeah.
So I fell into hair by accident. I wasn't actually a person. I don't have the story that every other hairdresser has. That's like, oh my God, I was playing with, hair and Barbies and all the things from the time I was 3. My mom was, I don't have that story. I
Yeah.
actually come from a long line of just medical and nursing and the medical field.
Yeah.
And I was that kind of, quote unquote nerd kid. I straight A's. I was on my way to doing psychology. That was my path. And I remember when I sat down and told my mom at the time she just retired. She's a hospice nurse. And she said, I told her,
Wow.
I said, I think I'm going to do hair. And she's like, well, are you crazy? You're going to throw your life away? Like, what are you doing? And why I chose to do it, and why I chose to it called to me is the experience of it all. I mean, the moment you're able to uncover something and reveal that to a person that they didn't know was there, that's what I live for. And you meet the most interesting people.
Oh
Let's be
yeah.
honest. I love a good story.
Oh
And so when I got into it and started learning, because cosmetology school just teaches you how to pass the test. It doesn't really teach you how to
yeah.
do hair.
Not
And
really.
I got to the very, probably a year or so in, I met this. She was actually a hairstylist at a salon, and she came in and just kind of did a career day or whatever, for us little cosmetology kids and or apprentices at the time. And she was a person of color, and she was working at a predominantly like a salon that catered to predominantly, Caucasian hair or hair that was not textured.
Yeah.
And she was just, her story was what drew. I said, oh my God, I can do this. I can do this. And it was the way that she described her journey is what allowed me to really visualize myself doing it. Yeah. And then as far as like learning, I just learned from, I did have a couple of teachers that were, and it was really in my apprenticeship where I had a lot of these people that spoke my language and just created the space for me to learn.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate in that way. But a lot of the other things that I'm now have realized that I've been passionate about all along are things that I've discovered on my own,
Yeah.
So I hope that answered your question.
Oh,
that was a very scenic route. I had to paint the picture, Liam.
It was a very scenic question, so that's amazing. You pulled any specifics out of that question. And so when you finish cosmetology school and you end up at a salon, was it like the salon that early mentor was working at? Was it more of a white, more of a Caucasian European style salon to begin with?
It was. It was. The salon was based out of Europe, so their approach was. Yeah, it was like it was very. It was Tony and Guy. I started at Tony and Guy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to drop a name. I started at Tony and Guy, and Tony and Guy is where I cut my teeth. In just learning, I'm a huge advocate for apprenticeships and sitting under someone.
Yes.
It just, you gather so much from them. And so I was the only person of color in the salon space that I was in. However, I never felt like I was the only person of color, if that makes sense. I wasn't just only getting the person that wants the flat iron or the silk press. They were teaching me the art of hair. And that's what I can appreciate and I love so much.
Yeah. I mean, it was one of the places to learn at a certain period of time, right? I mean, I sort of came out of the beginnings of my apprenticeship came out of Sassoon, but people at other places were coming out of like as Sassoon was sort of, I don't want to say fading because it hasn't faded, but as its cool factor was fading, it was sort of happening because Tony and Guy was shifting into London and spreading, and there was this new. Don't worry, let's break everything. Don't worry about the rules. No, mess it up. Break it in half. What happens? Let's test it out. So I can imagine that would have been an incredibly cool place to be at the beginning.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was like right around the time of Tony and Guy was kind of the new kid, the kid on the block that was doing the cool things over there. They're still playing with shapes, but they're breaking the shapes. And Sassoon was the place that you went and you just, if you wanted to create these, the foundation of things and really create solid shapes, it was known. So these were the two big ones that were in. I mean, you had the others, but as far as European, like global schools and global organizations, that was it. And Tony and Guy kind of just, it was the connection of, oh, wow, okay, maybe I could find my tribe there. Maybe, I don't know. And it just kind of went from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do find that when it comes to like finding your tribe, half the time you don't know until after you aren't at a place that was it. Oh, cool. I never felt comfortable enough at any one place in the first 10 years to feel like I was with my tribe. I just look back and think, oh, I was doing a thing. I was part of a thing. I didn't know it at the time. I thought I was the outsider, I think as so many of us do. So coming up in Tony and Guy and with the sort of styles that they were they were working with at the time, did textured hair come up at all within your education there? And that's not a tell me how good or bad they were at it, but it's just like at that time, did you find that was being taught on any level?
No, yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't something, and it's kind of speaking to your point of you don't notice a thing until you're able to span out a little, and you're like, oh wow, yeah, that wasn't there. It wasn't there,
Yeah.
and it and when it was there as an avant-garde look, like
Right.
something that was very,
Yes.
let's pull a few pieces and then send them down the runway or send
Yes.
them, so it wasn't taught. You didn't really know how to do it. It was just,
No.
let's spray some hairspray or let's spray some shine spray on it and then just let them go. It was
Good luck.
very interesting. Yeah. You look fine. Let's just
Yeah.
fluff you. Let's judge it. You look fine.
Yeah. This is how it's
And
supposed to be. You don't know.
exactly.
Don't you know where you are?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So it wasn't really taught, and I didn't really realize that, and I didn't know that I had working knowledge because I've lived with textured hair my whole life, so
Sure.
I didn't really know that I had some working knowledge that not everyone else did.
Hmm.
I was like, oh well, okay, are we really going to send the model out like that? Okay, well, sure. I guess it's fantasy, but
I guess that's just how it's done. Yeah. As we're
exactly,
told so much.
yeah. And
When I was
so
doing
yeah.
my apprenticeship, I was also, the receptionist. I was dealt with inventory, dealt with everything, and I was always told if anyone with anything vaguely resembling textured hair on any level came into the salon, to say we don't do that here, and then name this one salon on the other side of the city where
Oh
they
yes,
do textured hair, and I was told, don't worry, we all specialize, and
yeah.
I know for myself, I was like, wow, so we all specialize in one texture of hair, and then the other textures all go to some other place that I've never heard of over in a. So I felt
Right.
like I wasn't even supposed to be doing it for the first several
Mm.
years, let alone had any opportunity to learn it. At what point did you find, if at any point, that you were learning more about it? And obviously you had an understanding of it, but learning more about textured hair and having the opportunity to do it not on a platform.
Oh, I probably started realizing when I started really getting into session work and doing Fashion Week.
Hmm.
And you started really, meeting these models or sitting, you're on photo shoots or anything like that, and you're meeting models that, have had traumas, or
Yeah. Oh,
they come
yes.
in and they have extensions in, and they only want you to like you started recognizing these really like a version of PTSD that they had,
Yeah.
and you only had 30 minutes to create a look, and the
Yes.
designer, and that's a long time,
Yes. No.
that's a long time, and the designer wants this hair that is Donna Summers to go into a really sleek ponytail, and
Right.
not show any of the extensions. And you
Hmm.
started realizing, like, okay, they don't know how to work with it. They don't know what this is going to do, and so you started noticing that. I think that's when I started noticing that there was this gap, or this, you know, canyon
Yeah.
between
I was going to say gap
places.
is it's a very kind use of that word for that. I'm not sure that's even
Yeah.
canyon might be a touch small.
Yes.
Galaxy,
And
I don't know.
yeah, I think I started noticing that. And that's when I started noticing that I had a working knowledge of something that a lot of other stylists didn't. But I also realized that it was an opportunity to really create a safe space for not only the stylists that were working alongside me, But the models who at that time for 10 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever was my client,
Yeah.
and I wanted to create a safe space for them too. And I think that's when I realized I had a moment to be able to really kind of create the change I wanted to see, if you will.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and that was probably about, I'd say probably about 7 years ago. Like it,
Okay.
you know, it when you started really, um, it's the first moment, and then you start
Yeah.
seeing more and more. So yeah,
And
it's
being able to create those experiences. I know for myself, and I usually tell a lot of my guests that come into my salon, because I still do hair 2 days a week on the other side of that glass
yes,
there. My number one goal is always just that you feel better than when you came in. What it is we
yes,
do, how I get to express myself on your hair, that's not my website says I'm a hair waiter. Like, I'm just purely here. I just want an experience. I want you to feel better. I ended up working with lots of people with hair trauma because
uh
so many
huh,
people, even outside of just having textured hair, get mistreated by people who don't know what to do with them and get made to feel
yes,
like it was their fault somehow.
mm-hmm,
Oh, no, no, it's
mm-hmm.
not me that's incapable of doing it. It's you.
Right. It's crazy, isn't it? It's like wild. You're like,
It's crazy.
oh my
So much.
gosh.
The insecurity is palpable. Like, it just always
Yes.
seems to feel like, oh, you're just afraid. You were a bully, but you're
Right.
actually just afraid that you're inadequate. Like, this all comes down to you just feeling small. Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Exactly. That should be, yes, that should be a t-shirt. It's like, oh, exactly.
Like, that's it. You
It
were just
is.
embarrassed. Why didn't you just say you were embarrassed? Like, everyone's
Yeah.
embarrassed all the time. Don't worry about it. Just say
Yes.
something. Why be a dick? I mean,
Right.
I
Exactly.
don't.
I agree.
So, obviously you already possessed a working knowledge and a skill set of it, so you could make people feel however it was you wanted to make them feel, safer, heard, whatever it was. And you said that started about 7 years ago. Did
Hmm.
that is that incorporated in your education that you give now, would you say?
Yes. Yes. Yes, absolutely. It is, I have always felt very strongly, even when I'm behind the chair, I want to create a space for people to feel their best self, to feel safe enough and have permission to embrace their best self. And I just I'm the conduit by way of giving you beautiful hair.
Mm-hmm.
But I've just felt that way, and so it translates into how I educate as well. And people should feel comfortable being able to get out of their comfort zone, and that can be scary. And I don't want you to feel like, okay, well, if I ask a question, is it an absolutely dumb question and I'm going to get, beat to hell, like what's going to happen to me, like,
Right.
oh, is it safe out there?
Yeah.
That I don't want people to feel that. And so I
Yeah.
really like to just create that moment and space of people feeling like there's no really horrible, awful question. If you are
Yeah.
taking the time to open yourself and be vulnerable, I will be vulnerable with you. Let's have
Yeah.
a conversation. And
Yeah.
that's just, I mean,
Yeah.
I wish everyone would educate that way. I wish everyone would be that way, right? Wouldn't that be great? But
It would be
I
great.
just, it would be great, right? It would. But I figure if I could be the small little ripple in
Yeah.
my little pond, then hopefully it translates out. So
And did you, like I, see the tiny, tiny shift that started to happen in the industry in the last, let's say, 5 years at the most?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, I did. So I started Mane Seams Mane Seamstress Education. I started teaching about this. This was birthed in 2020. And it was from all of just what I was seeing. I mean, we had a moment to like pandemic happened. We're all like sitting still, and we had a moment to really take inventory of where we were. And I took advantage of that moment just to kind of, where are you now? What's happening now? We were at this shift as an industry anyway. I still think we're in a transition. I personally believe that. Where you're really starting to see people, I mean, it's an evolution that not everybody's going to come out on the other side doing hair, maybe. But I think we're in the middle of it. And I noticed at the very beginning of this where, I mean, we were getting into conversations now that were like bleeding into each other. And I, as a person of color, but also as a hairstylist, I was very much, and as an outsider, it's like we are kind of considered misfits as hairstylists, like kind of the fringe group. And I think as a person who is used to living in that space, it was just such a disconcerting thing to see so much, turmoil and chaos and just unhappy and negativity. And I wanted to just create that positive moment and also create a safe space to talk about it, because it was a lot to talk about. And
it is a lot. I mean, it is and continues to be and will continue to be a lot to talk about.
Yes.
Although it was a hilariously large amount at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was like we had to figure out which way up was before we could even get to the next part of the conversation.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And you're just like, what part do I pick apart first? And that's what birthed this, because I realized and I remember I was talking to a friend of mine and I said, these are two separate conversations that need to happen. Like hairstylists and hair, and then racial equality, like all of that, and
equity across the board. Yep.
Those are different things, and they're a tightrope. And if you don't handle them with care, you can make it just creates even more trauma. And so, and that's what I wanted. And I saw that it was happening, so I just wanted to kind of create a space for people to have safe conversation. So
unpack some stuff.
That part. Unpack some stuff.
We're in a group hotel room. Let's unpack some stuff.
Yes.
Someone's not going to feel comfortable with showing what stuff they've got packed, but let's unpack some stuff.
Unpack it. Let's unpack it.
I love it. And so, so you started that in 2020. So what is that? So I come to you to one of your classes, to whatever. What does that look like? What does a typical one look like?
So if we come to class, or if you do one-on-one or anything like that, the first thing that we're going to do is talk about the standpoint of connecting textures with a fabric and connecting how we look at hair. So really turning on your creative mind, because I think, especially for stylists, I don't know if you felt this way too, but after doing hair for so long, you kind of get one lens, right, that you look through. Yes. And it makes, especially when you now have trends that stay around forever, how do you get creativity? And you lose, or it dims the creativity, or that lens dims over time, because you're hearing what, Susie did the other night, and you're hearing like you're a therapist, and then all these things. And so I want to spark that creative lens. So that's the first thing that we would do, is we would connect that standpoint and just spend time talking about the consultation aspect and really creating an experience to make that guest feel safe and earn the right to be able to touch their hair. Yes. And then from there, we would then, whether it's focused on cutting or it's focused on styling, we would then walk through different ways to approach various hair fabrics and how to spot these things and how to spot what product works best for, say, satin hair, what product works best for cotton fabric hair,
Yep.
And once you look at it that way, I mean, every hairstylist has the ability to do every type of hair that sits in your chair if you learn about it and you are empowered and really get that empowerment to be able to approach it,
It sounds like you're breaking it down in an accessible way. I mean, when you talk about breaking it down into a fabric and then saying, okay, we're just discussing a thing that looks and feels like this responds well to this, which is when I was saying that, like, this plus this equals this, I struggled with not having enough of that early on. Everything was taught to me through metaphors. I'm like, I don't know what you mean. Whereas stuff that's like, oh, okay, this, stop thinking about it from this perspective. You do this with this.
Right. I mean, we already do it with fabrics that I would never put a silk blouse or silk pant in the dryer, or in high heat.
No.
And once you start thinking of it that way, it just changes and it sparks that creative lens again,
Yeah.
So,
I love that you were talking about consultations. I'm a huge fan of consultations and how much of a stylist's problems can be solved before they ever happen through a myriad of things. What's your sort of, when you begin talking about a consultation, what does your ideal consultation look like? Obviously different from person to person, but what do you like to ask at the beginning? Yeah.
Oh, the overarching is you always want to find out what is their lifestyle like? What are they doing? Yeah. How do they approach their hair? You learn, I mean, there's a lot of things that you won't even have to, it makes your roadmap and your blueprint so much easier when you see, so what do you do from wash day to wash day? So finding out their lifestyle and then looking at their face shape, having them bring in photos of when did they love their hair? What are things that they love about their hair? And inspirations. I actually create, anytime I'm doing a consultation, and I do a consultation every time, no matter how long they've been seeing me, because things change. Their life has changed. They may be on some new medication. There's so many things that change. And in 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, there's a long gap, and I want to know what you've been up to. So just finding out that and asking them, what are some of their products? Why do they like this? How do they use it? Put the product in their hand. Where does your hands go first? And, a lot of times it's like, oh, it's here. And I don't know why my hair's so heavy. Well, if you're putting everything, you find out so many things. And so that's usually how I approach a consultation, is just finding out their lifestyle and what their goals are and what their blind spots are. And that helps me build a roadmap for them and for myself. So
I love that.
Yeah.
You were talking briefly about earning the right to touch someone's hair, which sort of falls into that wonderful category of consent that I think most hair. Well, I don't know about when you came up, but when I came up, there was no such thing. You didn't ask when it was okay to start touching someone's hair, or if it was okay. You were already in there going, why do they look so uncomfortable? What's wrong with this person? Do you usually ask permission? Are there any steps you like to take before that? Or is it just a matter of, can I touch your hair?
I ask them, can I touch your hair? And I also start with that. I mean, it's just, we're one of two industries where we are still touching people, and we are in people's personal space. Medical is the other one. And so I'm very cognizant of that. And I just ask them, are you comfortable with me getting into your hair? And it kind of make it fun, but and that drops their guard, because they don't know, it's It's a speed date. You know, they're like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Man. Yes. Yes, it is a speed date. Oh my God. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. And it's fascinating because I remember when I first started doing it, some of the people I was working with were really, they weren't put off, but they were confused because they sort of thought, well, obviously the consent's given when you book the appointment to have your hair done. And
Oh yeah,
I understand that as a concept, but I don't think it's true because they still have the right to leave before you start if they want. Like I feel like you still have to ask. I don't care if they booked
absolutely.
it.
Yes. And I don't know. I'm sure. Okay, now we're going into the
Let's
tea
do it.
moments of it,
Go.
and I think you you hit something on the head where you're like, some of the old school. I had some old school hairdressers had been doing hair
Mm-hmm.
for 30 years when I first started, and I mean they would just get in there and start just touching their guests, and you're like, you could see the deer in headlights moments from the guests. They're just sitting there like, oh God. And there's
What's
just,
happening?
what is happening to me? I mean, I think I'm objectified. What's going on?
Oh,
And I think those looks from those guests in the mirror when I'm standing there as an apprentice, I remember it was seared in my brain. I'm like, I never want anyone to be looking at me like that, where they're just like, I don't know, like, what do I do? And,
yeah.
and it's just, the tone deafness of those stylists because they've just been
Oh,
doing it so long. They're just like, you're fine. You sit here. You want me to make you beautiful
oh yeah.
on my terms, and you're like, oh wow, okay. Uh,
That personality, I found that personality in salons grating. They were the same person who didn't really care what you wanted. You were actually
oh,
really just there for them to express themselves on your head. And
absolutely,
they're
yes.
cool. What do you want? Yeah, sure. Definitely. I'll do that.
Yeah,
And then you look and you're like, I don't understand how you got from there to there. You're like, that's
yeah.
infinity dollars. Don't ever bother me
They're,
again.
don't bother me again. And I am the top tier stylist here, so that'll be this amount. And yeah, this little like layer that you have at the top, the
Yep.
circa Rod Stewart. That's
You're
okay.
welcome.
You wanted it. You
Yep.
wanted it.
And I know that because you booked an appointment with me.
You
And
booked an
therefore,
appointment.
you wanted
Like,
me to touch you and make you really upset with what I did to your hair. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's a fun part of our
great.
industry. Yeah, it's good. Let's keep it going. Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Memory
it's pretty bananas. So I just wanted to, there was a brief point where you were talking about brands. I
Oh
remember
yeah, yeah, yeah.
there was a point where people I was coming up with were starting to work with brands, and I didn't know how that worked. I didn't know how that happened. I didn't know if I should be comfortable with it. At what point did you start working with a brand? Obviously, you came up in Tony and Guy, and so there's a unique quality of coming up in a salon that also has its own brand of products. So, did you find working around product brands natural coming out of Tony and Guy, or at what point did you start working with brands more directly yourself?
Oh, I did. I was used to. There was a level of being comfortable just working with the brand because Tony and Guy is such this massive, like Sassoon, where
Yeah,
it's its own mega thing. So for me, it was actually hard to not go with their brand. They had their own. I mean, they had their
yeah,
own product line. They had their own, color, all the things. By the time that I left and decided to go out on my own, and so there was this kind of moment of, I was so loyal to them, and I really adopted their identity of like, this is what you do. So I found this hard to kind of connect initially because I was so comparing, you know, oh, it's head rushes like this, this
right.
shine spray, this kind of thing. And so I went through a space of really kind of detoxing myself from product, how I saw it. And that's then that's why I started playing with a lot of stuff on my own hair. And that's how I started finding brands that I liked. Because if it works on me, then I feel comfortable using it on anyone. And that was my approach. Up until then, I'd only known one brand. And so as far as like connecting it with just hair, and I knew cocktails on how to create the product I wanted and things like that. So I had to relearn. It's like learning a new language.
Yeah.
I had to learn what am I looking for? Why was I mixing small talk and, after party together?
Right.
Why
What was
was I
happening
mixing
there?
this? Yeah. And just going at it from that standpoint. And from there, I then started, looking. Once I went through my space of just purging and what do I like, what speaks to me, what do my clients need, that's when I started searching out other brands. And they kind of just found me in that space.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm cognizant of time. There's a couple more things I wanted to ask you about. So if I'm a new hairstylist or I'm looking to get into it, I'm maybe finishing hair school and moving into a apprenticeship phase or somewhere. And I came to you and said, what do you think I should do next? What should be the first thing I do when branching out into salons? What would you tell a new stylist? Do you have any, like if you were talking to yourself as you were heading out into the hairstyling world?
Yeah, this question is such a good. It's because the industry and the terrain of the industry is so different than when I was starting up. I mean, salon suites were not a thing when I was coming up. So the first thing that I would tell a new stylist is go to a salon. Don't go to a salon studio. You're not ready to be in a salon suite by yourself or anything like that. Go to a salon, work at a salon.
Yep.
You learn so much just being in a salon setting with all the different personalities and all the different, approaches to how you cut hair and really connecting. So going in and seeing the salon in action. And it needs to be more than just, uncommon or unpopular opinion. I personally believe it needs to be more than just 5 people in the salon. Like you need a nice size, probably about a good 10, where you could really get a nice taste of everything.
Yeah.
And you'll find your style. You'll find yourself in a salon when you have something of that size. I think you have to. That's the first thing is going and learning, sitting under someone and soaking in everything. Don't jump on the floor and start cutting hair immediately. You're not ready.
No. No.
Or coloring hair. Don't start doing it. You're not ready.
Please don't do that. You're definitely not ready to do that.
Unless
it's being pre-mixed for you, you're not ready to do it.
No.
Oh, yeah. No. There was so much about... I did a full apprenticeship, so I didn't go to cosmetology school. It was just a straight-up apprenticeship in salon. I'm pretty sure it was 7 years long, if I remember correctly, or at least it felt that way. It may have only been 2 years. I was lucky enough to come up in a salon. It was 12 chairs, 13 stylists. I was the assistant, the apprentice, the receptionist.
Yes.
I cleaned the place. I folded the towels. I washed the hair. I swept the hair. And it was great. It was especially great for me because I'd never even held a brush before I worked at a salon. So it's not like I was always going to be in a hair salon. Everything was foreign. So I got to watch. And almost everyone there was actually a chair renter.
Yeah.
Except when you finished your apprenticeship, you could become a stylist, you start on commission, and then you could work your way to chair rental. So I was lucky enough to see really different styles, personalities. And so I completely agree. Obviously not everybody has the option of where they end up, but I completely agree. A larger salon with a bunch of personalities, some of which you'll like, some of which you really will not like.
Oh, yeah. But you also learn how to work with the people that are those,
Yeah.
the grizzly, the ones that have been, in the trenches of hair for
Yes.
50 years. You want that person there because
Yes.
you learn a nugget from that one too, right?
Yes. Even if it's
Uh,
just how to deal with that person. That's a huge,
absolutely.
because
Yes,
somebody's going to sit in your chair that's that person at some point. And
absolutely.
and it could go
Yes,
poorly if you weren't ready. Yeah.
yes, I
Man.
agree. Yes.
Gosh. I
I feel
love
like
it.
a side book should happen.
Oh, yeah. It's really interesting watching people come up today, though, because, there was no social media when I started.
Oh
You
no.
couldn't DM your favorite hairdresser in another city or country. It was,
Oh
you
no.
knew the people around you. I did cutting class every week, and you had to find your own hair model, which was just walking around the streets,
Yes.
as a
Oh,
man walking around the streets, scaring people, walking up from
oh my
behind, asking, do
God.
you want a one length bob?
Yes. And you had to go out and find I mean, the
Yeah.
level of thick skin that I have now, just from having to walk up to someone and try to sell them on this one length bob,
Oh my God.
and I
Yes.
have to give it to you this length. It can't be, you get no say in it. Or
No.
trying to sell them on a pixie. And
Oh,
it
when
was,
no one wants one.
when
Like,
no one
right? It's
wanted a
like nobody's
pixie.
getting a pixie.
No.
Would you like one? On
Oh.
side note, I'm not very good at it. How about
And
that?
I'm not good at it. And I'm going to have someone watching me. It's not going to be just a 45-minute haircut. It's going to be 2 hours, just so you
Yes.
know. And I'm going to have someone double checking it. And I'm going to have it just, you don't get now. Someone can just DM, they can look at all your body of work and, oh yeah, I'm going to fly from here to there and come see you. And
Yeah.
I think you lose that, just how to really consult, have
Yeah.
a consultation, because you didn't realize you were having a consultation and learning a lot about that experience until now. Looking back at it, I'm like, oh my God, I was doing consultations in the,
Wow.
in the pub bar, trying to get the bartender to please let me
Exactly.
do this. Please let
Please.
me do this shag on you.
You're going to
And the
love it.
layers are going to be 2 inches.
Yeah. It's been 30 years since anyone liked it, but you're going to love it. It's
You're
great.
gonna love it. This round layer haircut is gonna be great. Um,
Yeah. I mean, it was so cool. I'm sure it was the same for you, watching all the different personalities do consultations, like the amount of
yes,
watching you get to do when you're
yes,
assisting at the beginning. And some of it's amazing and some of it's a train wreck. Like some of it's what to do and
yes,
some of it's what not to do. Like,
yes.
that's not the way to talk to a
No,
person.
yes.
Yeah.
There was one particular guy that was a hairstylist, and I was my first 2 years of. I apprenticed for 2.5 years after
Mhm.
coming out of cosmetology school. And it's one guy, he'd been doing hair for, I think he'd been doing hair like 20 years, and very soft spoken guy. And any guest that sat in his chair, he would spend about 5 to 10 minutes just looking at their face and messing with their hair and play. And you're like, oh my God, does this guy even know what he's going to do? And he would come out with these bangers all the time. He'd ask them, how do you feel about where this sits on your hair? And just the questions he would ask. But it was a lot of silent stretches. And you're just sitting here like, oh, wow, what are you doing? But he was letting the hair speak. And you just kind of
Yeah.
learn his energy and how he did it. And then on the other hand, I'd see someone who was like, we're going to do this and this and this and this.
That's right. You know what's great on
And
textured hair? A lot
oh,
of some sort of one length haircut that involves a lot of
yes,
tension. What wet? It's going to be great.
yes,
When we blow
it's
dry
going to
that
be
straight, you're going to love how it
fabulous.
looks. Mm,
You can only wear it straight, only
yes,
smooth out, no
and really
curls.
only today.
Yes,
Never again.
yes,
I very much enjoyed. About 15 years ago, I found there was, and it's different for everyone. I found there was a bit of a transition. It didn't involve textured hair for me yet at that point, but it involved natural growth direction. It was the beginning of moving away from well, I'm just going to put this shape on you, and went
Right.
with, I remember it started with, I was starting to focus on short hair, more sort of longer barber styled haircuts. And I was rediscovering the crown, and I was rediscovering how hair moved, and no longer trying to fit a shape on someone, but trying to figure out what shape their hair already is and how do I transition that to something. I know that for me, that was like the precursor to when people started educating in a way that I could access textured hair. That part came a little naturally, where it's like, well, look, hair's going to do what it's going to do. So how can you work
Right.
with what it's going to do, as opposed to how can I make it do what I know how to do?
Yes.
So you already had experience with textured hair, but was there a moment where you saw a shift in the industry, and not like the 2020 shift, but just the shift away from forced shapes to a degree? Or did you find it?
I did. I started seeing it. It's probably around that same time, maybe, 15 to 17 years, where you started seeing, and it was actually on the runway. Like when I started working on sets, and you started seeing people were letting the fabric dictate
Yes.
how they were going to wear their hair.
Draping.
The draping of it.
Like,
oh my gosh.
Drape where it go. Look, this is how it sits. So what do I do to make it sit right?
Yes, because you started seeing a lot of these hair icons that were being called back to really help create looks, because they were from back in, the time when you did drape hair and you allowed it to speak and you created. And so I started seeing it there.
Yeah.
And it's been shifting ever since.
Yeah, I love it. We
Which
could
is
go
great.
on and on about all of this change. Well, it needs to.
We could.
It has to. The whole point is it has to continue to move forward.
I agree.
Yeah. This has been so much fun. I'd like to do it again at some point.
Yes.
If that works, because this is obviously just the part of a conversation and not a whole conversation.
I know. I feel like I could talk to you forever.
You and me both. But for those that are listening, where can people find you?
For the people you can stalk me on all social platforms.
Yep.
At Mane Seamstress, Mane like the hair mane,
Yes.
and seamstress like sewing.
Yep.
And I would love to just let's be friends.
Yes.
I'd love to, yeah. And then you could also go online. I am hairsfabric.education.
Okay.
And connect and book a class, do some one-on-one coaching, see where I am in a city near you. And
I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thanks a ton. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
We will talk again soon.
Absolutely. I look forward to it.
Okay.